So it gives it a little marker, and it tags it for removal. This one's a priority. We're pulling this out as soon as we possibly can. It also signals your immune system to say, let's try to get these guys cleaned up. What happens when this little one shows up here? And it still is programmed to do its job just like it always does. It doesn't have a lot of materials in it. It's not working real efficiently, but it sees that damage, and it's going to come right on in, and it's going to try to drop off some materials. Well, if a white blood cell happens to see that, he's going to say, hey, you're not supposed to be here. You're marked for deletion. And it'll consume it. He can break down the protein part, but he doesn't have the enzymes to break down the cholesterol and the fatty inside. So it'll hold it in the form of something called a foam cell. And this is the foundational unit of what we see when we're looking at the start of cardiovascular disease, is this foam cell. We can see this under a microscope. It's not a bad process in and of itself either. It helps kind of clear things out. So this is going on in your body all the time, whether or not you have a ton of cholesterol or not. Some of these little cholesterols are always going to exist, and these foam cells are going to be created. And guess who comes along and cleans that up? The HDL manager. They'll pull right up in here, they'll pull those cholesterols out, pass the energy around, the foam cell will dissolve, and everything's great. But remember what we talked about earlier. You've got 2,000 being made a day, and you can only pull 1,000 out. What if your damage is chronic? Let's say you have diabetes, right? And it's not controlled, and we're really worried about this, but you're damaging blood vessels all over the place. Your body is sending these signals out, and your liver's pushing to keep up. And it's not able to pull out all that extra cholesterol, all that extra LDL. This guy shows up. What happens when the next one shows up? Another foam cell. What happens when another one shows up? And another one, and another one, and another one. And your HDL molecules can't keep up with it, right? And what's interesting is that as that's building up under there, this single cell on the top is staying intact. If you've ever seen the cross sections of these, this is still nice and smooth and working fine. All the damage is down here. And that's because that's where that all is happening. So, the question, what do we take away from that? Because I think now you have a good understanding of the cycle and how it happens. How could we prevent this from happening? Well, we could have a decrease in LDL, small LDLs, right? Or we could have a decrease in inflammation. So I think when I say both of those things, you could probably each think of maybe some pharmaceuticals that have been developed to help promote decreased inflammation or decrease LDLs. And I would go so far as to say when we use those things, it's good, right? Because we're protecting ourselves from this process happening. How many times is there a plan to figure out why it's happening? And I think a lot of that, we put that on our doctors who are so busy. I mean, we can't keep up with the patients. There's a shortage of doctors, there's a shortage of nurses in our country. And so I would challenge you to learn about these things and understand them and try to figure out why they happen. Because you're the one who's going to be able to figure out, okay, the doctor is protecting me, maybe gave me some advice on what I need to do, but you have to put it into action to stop this process. Because at the end of the day, you could take the LDL cholesterol and minimize it, but remember, it's bricks and mortar. Your body's making it because you're calling for it. Something in there's happening, saying I need more. You could take the inflammation and decrease it. Now you've got all this LDL cholesterol going on. How long are you going to do that, right? But if you become your own advocate and you take control of this, there are ways for you to stop these things. But you have to become involved. Are there any questions about that? Because that was a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
We talk about heart disease where you build plaque on the walls of arteries, and eventually they build up enough that they block the flow of blood to the heart and try to function of the heart. And if I look at a human lung, its job is to basically transfer oxygen through the membranes and walls. And if I start getting cholesterol buildup in the vessels and arteries in the lung, does that impair the functioning of oxygen transfer? In other words, it's.
I would say that's a great point. So he wants to know, would this process also happen inside of lung tissue?
Right.
And yes, you can have even peripheral vascular disease. You can have calcification of arteries in a lot of places. We're most worried about the heart because when that shuts down, everything shuts down, right? But yeah, I mean, that's going to affect muscle tissue. That's going to affect the lung tissue. That's going to affect the endocrine tissue. That's going to affect the brain tissue. This is not exclusive. Notice I like to use the word cardiovascular disease more than just heart disease, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about cardio and heart, but we're also talking about vascular and blood vessel. Now, I will just put this out there because I always find this to be really interesting. You don't get this disease in veins. You only get it in arteries. What's the difference between a vein and an artery? What's the primary thing? Anybody? Yes, who said that? Right here, pressure. And that's the difference. Do we know for a fact that that's the reason? No. But as best as we can determine, that's the biggest difference. So that's kind of a cool little fact too, because that ties into this whole thing. What else do they do at your yearly physical? They look at your blood pressure. And I think a lot of people kind of, I don't care so much about that. It doesn't really matter. I don't notice anything yet. But over time, this process could happen. So now you've got high blood pressure maybe causing that damage. Maybe your liver's making more LDL to answer the call. You see how the cycle just kind of repeats itself, and there's a lot of causes to that? Another question?
What factors are, hereditary? What factor does hereditary play in this?
That's a great point. And so as I've looked at thousands of people's blood work across the grand scheme, I'll tell you what, you can never take two people and really compare them and say, okay, this is what your single number is and I know what you need to do. Because of that fact, there are people that I would call hyper-responders. And so when we're working with people who have metabolic disorders like diabetes or metabolic syndrome, and we start to make improvements, we can get them into a zone where we actually, I'm getting really in depth here, so excuse me, but you can calculate how much fat mass you can burn per day, how many calories of fat you can burn per day. So as we start to fall into a certain range of that, I will actually see these people hyper-respond by increasing the amount of cholesterol they produce for energy. So that's hereditary. That doesn't happen to everybody. But those are the kind of things you have to look for. You also have familial hypercholesterolemia. And so there's a couple of different kinds, but those can be very devastating because you may maybe have somebody who has familial hypercholesterolemia, and a lot of those people, they don't live past their 20s or 30s because these processes are accelerated. So it's a very good point. Again, technology's come a long way. We can look at genetics and genes and figure that out. A lot of these studies that are done on cholesterol haven't taken into account that fact. And so the smaller the sample size, let's just say you had one person in that group that had familial hypercholesterolemia, then the entire experiment doesn't work, right? Because they're going to offset all the data to one side. Or what if you don't have anybody in that group? Because our population always has a certain percentage. That makes these studies so difficult. But those are the kind of questions we have to ask when we read them. Do you guys take this into account? Or when we're trying to make decisions about how we treat patients? So, great question. All right. Any other questions about that? Someone else had their hand up. John.
I did, and this may not be the right time to answer this. You're talking about there are many things that you can do to improve on that.
Mm-hmm.
Are there simple refreshers that you could share?
Yeah, what you have to do is you have to look at your own self, right? So if you're getting these numbers back and they don't look right, and you know what? That's why you have an expert, a primary care doctor. And they say to you, hey, these things aren't looking quite right. You should pay attention to it. A lot of the primary care doctors that I know and work with, They're not really jumping right on throwing medications at you. They want you to do something lifestyle first. That's what the literature shows us. That's what these tests were originally designed for, as a screening test to promote lifestyle. But I'll tell you something really sad. I was just talking to a primary care doctor 2 weeks ago, and he said, you know, I love what you do, and I think that it's great. You know, I can't do it, because he feels like we judge him. Because I think like, okay, I spend a lot of time with my patients, and he doesn't spend as much time. He said, and it's great, he said, I used to be like that. I used to do that. I used to spend 15 minutes with a patient, came in, we looked at those numbers, and we said, all right, here's what you need to do. You need to change this, maybe you need to exercise a little more, maybe you need to change your diet a little bit, and I'd get finished pouring my heart and soul into it. You know what they would say? All right, doc, what pill do I need to take? 99 times out of 100, that's what he got.